what's up everybody? Thursday, June 24th. New highs in the S&P and the NASDAQ. President Biden says he has reached an agreement with GOP senators for an infrastructure deal. I'm not really sure what the details are. They did say it's $560 billion of new spending. I guess there's additional spending beyond that from money that was not spent as part of the stimulus. Not sure. $560 billion over 8 years is about $70 billion a year. This proposal is down significantly from the originally proposed 2.3 trillion, and that was reduced down to 1.7 trillion, but it's something. But number one, it has to pass. Okay, Pelosi is already in opposition. She said that she wants end of filibuster attached to this. Then there's a part that has to go through reconciliation. So don't count your chickens before they're hatched. I really don't focus on this stuff when it is announced. I mean, that's all headline trading. What happened today when the market shot up on the announcement of this deal, I understand that because people headline trade, but these are not funds currently being spent. We'll see the numbers. I mean, when this thing passes, if it passes, you know, we're going to see the numbers and make an evaluation. What I focus on is what is happening now. And, you know, I've been telling you that it looked like there was a slowdown underway in the fiscal flows. I said, really didn't have enough data to make a definitive call on this. I mean, it kind of looked like we had a couple of days where, you know, there was a substantial deceleration in the daily flow. And now it started to pick up again. I have to say that the flows, they don't look that bad. I mean, the deficit is still down year over year by about 80 billion. It could be anywhere from 80 to 100 billion. Yesterday we had a Social Security payment, so that kind of skewed the numbers a little bit. I'll see what they look like tomorrow. But overall, I mean, it does not really look like we're having any sort of a significant reduction in the flows. So, given that, I mean, the market's probably going to go up. We're going to keep going up. Now, one thing interesting, if today the sentiment in the AAII weekly survey, you know, it comes out every Wednesday. I usually do an analysis early Thursday morning. Bullish sentiment is not that high. Bearish sentiment is low. I mean, a lot of people, again, kind of move to the neutral corner, but I think you got to look at that bullish sentiment number, which is not that elevated, and think this market has some more upside, especially now with the, you know, everybody's all psyched up about a possible infrastructure deal. The last week's Fed hysteria, I mean, that all got reversed, rightly so, at least in stocks. It didn't get reversed in like Forex, in the dollar. The dollar is still, you know, holding on to some pretty good gains. It did not get reversed in gold. Gold is still under pressure, below 1800. But I suspect those trends will eventually reverse just like equities reversed. But the key thing here, again, are those flows. And, you know, I just looked at them again today. They do not look like they have decelerated very much. We had a couple of days that seemed to be suggesting that we had a pretty good slowdown, but I guess those were just aberrations. So, yeah, I mean, everything looks on track to continue. The trend looks on track to continue with higher stock prices. A lot of people in the neutral camp, as I said, at least according to AAII. Eventually they're going to be pulled off that fence, probably at much higher levels. We'll get more detail on this infrastructure deal. The other thing about the infrastructure deal was supposedly, it's all, paid for. I mean, it kind of is. That whole requirement, I mean, that gets me really ticked off, because you never hear them talk about that when it comes to military or defense or war. I mean, it is never, ever raised as an issue. So the entire thing, and I talked about this yesterday in my podcast, I just call that fiscal fraud. I mean, you have to be consistent. Military budgets, defense budgets are never put under this kind of scrutiny. They're never limited to these conditions where they have to be paid for. You need $750 billion for a new military defense budget. Boom, they got it. It's a bipartisan thing. It goes through without a hitch. Anything outside of that, anything progressive, infrastructure, which is a necessary investment in this country. I mean, in many ways, the U.S. has become a third world country in comparison to countries that we used to call third world countries, but they have modernized. We have crumbling roads and bridges and infrastructure, and that needs to be addressed. Not to mention other things like healthcare, education, all these other things. But these initiatives are always put to the test in terms of how will we pay for it. So we don't know. I mean, this infrastructure deal, net might be no net addition to the flows. I mean, if it's new taxes and if it's spending cuts, then whatever spending there is on the infrastructure will be neutralized by the amount that's being taken away. No details yet on how it is going to be paid for. There were just kind of like assurances given by the White House that, it's going to be paid for. We don't know yet. So we'll get more details. But again, the House has to pass this. There's resistance there. A lot of progressive initiatives that were in the original Biden proposal, they've been taken out. So it still has a long way to go. I'm not shooting it down. I mean, any new spending on infrastructure would be welcome and certainly would be a positive thing to the fiscal picture, the economy, and the market. So I'm not shooting this down. I'm just saying, don't put the cart before the horse. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. It hasn't hatched yet. But I understand the market's reaction because that's what people do. We know this. They headline trade. So that is the update for today. That's about all the information I can give you. Remember, go to my check out my podcast. The link is in the description here. And don't forget, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial of MMT Trader. See everybody tomorrow. Bye.